what I do, I'd like to just kind of understand who you guys are, because that'll help me to better craft my questions. So can I just ask, if it's all right, to have the students introduce themselves? You can start.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, my name's Jatal Freeman.
And you can tell me what you want to be.
I want to do something in the medical field. I wanted to either be a athletic trainer in the NFL or the NBA, or be a pediatrician or an OBGYN, just something in the medicine field.
Great, thank you.
My name's Erica, and I want to be a graphic designer.
And if you want to stand up, you can do that as well. Your name, sir?
My name's Anthony Travis, and I want to be a fashion designer.
A what?
Fashion designer.
Fashion designer. Can you stand up, because that actually helps you to project yourself. You next, young lady.
My name is Donnie Robinson. I want to be a lawyer.
Excellent.
Good morning. My name is Axel Escobar. I want to be a veterinarian.
Great. Excellent. And tell me what year you are. If you're a sophomore, senior, or junior. Okay. I'm sorry, what's your name, young man? Marvin? And what year are you?
He's a junior.
Junior. Great. Thank you.
My name is Vontae Joseph. I'm not sure I want to be a marine biologist.
And what year?
Oh, sophomore.
Sophomore, okay. Young man in the back? Your name?
My name is
The firefighter. What year are you? 11. Okay, great. I'm sorry, young man, can you stand up? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Tattoo artist. And what year? Senior. Okay.
Okay, this is Jasmine Diaz, and she's in the 9th grade, and she enjoys science class.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Good morning.
What's your name? Hold on, stand up.
You have students in your class at this time that did not complete the survey. Please send those
Okay,
students to the
wonderful.
cafeteria at this time. Thank you.
Young man?
Have a great day.
The green? A veterinarian? Fashion designer. Okay, awesome. And what year are you? Senior. Awesome. Well, again, it's wonderful that you all told me what you wanted to be, because now I can actually craft how I tell you about myself. So I am actually doing, or I've done, what some of you all have said that you want to do, right? So first of all, before this young man leaves, when I was in the fashion design field. That's all I wanted to tell him. I actually lived right across the street on 12th Street 25 years ago, so before you guys were born, and it was a totally different place. This is like the first time I think I've ever been in this high school, actually. And I was going to Howard, and at Howard, I was the East Coast rep for one of the biggest fashion designers that was in hip-hop fashion at that time. He's not as big as he was at that time, but it was exciting. And one of the things I was able to do as a first year in law school, so right after I graduated and got my engineering degree, I went to law school. And in my first year of law school, I sold $150,000 worth of jeans to one of the biggest fashion retailers that was based in Joppa, Maryland, in the East Coast. So I went from engineering to law school and then into fashion design. So I just wanted to let you know before you left that there's some things that we can probably talk about. So I'll let you leave if you want to come back. Excellent. So again, I told you a little. So again, I went to Howard and got my mechanical engineering degree. So I started work at Ford Motor Company as a mechanical engineer, and then I went to law school. I mentioned that, and so I went and started doing some fashion, as I said before, and then went into law. So I've been basically practicing law for about 20 years. And now I run a nonprofit organization that actually seeks to pump money into schools like this to build academies like this. And now we're particularly focusing on cybersecurity, which is one of the hugest areas in engineering and technology. And I look forward to talking to you guys about why cybersecurity is so important. Has anybody's phone ever been hacked? Bank account ever been hacked? But I'm sure you guys have heard about that hacking, right? We'll talk about why it is that cybersecurity is so important and how you all can be the next generation of hack defenders, right? So thank you very much.
Okay, and as I said, I'm going to go last. My name is Mary Morgan. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm glad to hear that there are so many different interests because I come to this in a different kind of way. I am a CPA and a business owner. I started out in the STEM area doing consulting, which is, I'm not an engineer, I'm not in a typical STEM field, but I started out managing engineering projects all over the world with a consulting firm and worked with the FAA on air traffic control towers and a lot of different areas connected to that. But one of the things working with engineers and in the STEM field gave me access to was the airports and understanding airports. And being a typical person, I guess, I saw the money you could make or the money that airport stores make. I have stores in National, Dulles, and BWI, I think somewhere around 21 stores at this point. But I saw the monies that those stores made and decided that I didn't want to be on the consulting side of the business. I wanted to be on the side where I owned and controlled the business and different types of businesses. And I've been doing that for the past 21 years. So coming here from Philadelphia, that's my route to what I did with STEM. But I'm not the typical STEM person. As I said, I'm a business owner. But I came to it through working with STEM in STEM areas, engineering in particular. And I'm not an engineer. But I've listened to the diversity of the individuals in the room today, and I've been doing this with the TransSTEM program for the past 4 years with your school, and it's good to see that there are so many different interests. But rather than ask a lot of questions about STEM for the panel to answer, this is for you. These individuals have taken time out of their day where they have, I'm sure, tons of commitments and other things that they do, but this is for you. I want you to get what you want out of this today. So I want to just open this up and let you all ask questions because I can't determine what's in your head about what you want to know, but you have don't mind standing up.
My name is Joseph, and I'm wondering why do you choose the field that you're in for everybody?
Anybody, go ahead.
That's a very good question, right? So, as we were listening earlier, there was a couple of students who said that they weren't sure what they were going to do. Coming out of high school, I found myself in that same predicament until I joined the military. When I joined the military, I went into the logistics field. Okay, I spent 23 years in the military, and as I went into the logistics field, that became my passion. Transportation, warehousing, supply chain, procurement, contracting. And I found that to be an absolute fascinating field as I was doing it in the military. And when I looked at the private sector, I was like, wow, I'm doing this in the military, but on the outside, transferring those skill sets from the military and taking them to the private sector and being in the private sector, I seen it as a great opportunity. So I translated all those skill sets to the private sector. and, you know, and been doing great ever since. So passion became, logistics and supply chain and distribution became my passion. And I've stuck to that industry ever since. Okay?
Why you went into the same line?
For me, in high school, I was really good in math. So at that time, it was, what do you do with math? I went to college as a math major, and after 2 years of college doing math, I was good at it, but I started getting into the third year of college math, which is very theoretical, and I started losing application for it. It didn't make sense to me. So I was at Virginia Tech, which was an engineering school. I had taken much of the same course curricula as the engineers. Civil engineering was made sense to me because it was concrete, it was asphalt, it was something I could touch, it was something I understood. And that's why I then chose to study civil engineering. That played out in, as I said earlier, in a myriad of different careers choices. Once you get in as an adult, then you might have kids and other things change. But for you guys right now, keep your opportunities open, follow your passions, figure it out. For my wife, she wanted to be a graphic designer. She went to art school, and now she has her own business for 25 years of doing graphic design. You follow your passion and make it happen, and it comes to you.
Two people said passion. I'm going to say passion again. Passion in what you do, it just, you go to work every day and it's fun. And that's why you have to find what's passionate in you, what makes you tick, what gets you to go to work every day. Each of these gentlemen said passion, and I'm going to expand on that because I want to go to my wife, because my wife had a passion one day. She worked for a Fortune 500 company, PPG Industries. Big international company doing paints and glasses. All she ever wanted to do was own a business. She wanted to run a business in PPG. She never got that opportunity. At one point, she went back and got her MBA at Carnegie Mellon, and she had a science background as well. But she had an opportunity at one point to move into an IT services firm. So she changed completely from an engineering background to an IT services. 2 years ago, she bought the company. So now I do what I want just for the fun of it so I can have fun, and my wife is the one she's the breadwinner of the family. Now, and my passion, I like to build things. A little quick story, when I was very young, I would say in 7 or 8 years old, I used to take things apart and put them back together. Bicycles, go-karts and stuff like that. So one day I got this brilliant idea. You know how in swing sets, if they're not anchored, they kind of pull back. And while my sister, I saw my sister, I saw her, and I started pushing. One day I got up on the top of the swing set and I started taking the bolts apart. So I said, "Come on, sis, get on the swing set. Let me push you." So I kept pushing her, and wouldn't you know it? And I was planning for this to happen because I pushed her so hard, and she came back, and the thing fell apart and right back down. It collapsed. And I was laughing. I had such a great time because I accomplished what I was trying to do. But you know I got in trouble for that. I got in big trouble for that. But building things is what my passion is. I love to go to work every day and drive over a bridge that I designed. That's my passion. It's fun to be able to improve the commuting public's life. You know, you can't stand this during construction, but when it's all done, the roads are a lot safer, a lot easier to drive on, and less congested. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in and say a number of you said you weren't sure what you wanted to do when you left here. And let me tell you, that's perfectly okay. I've spent most of my life and still am trying to figure out what I ultimately want to do when I grow up. Because I've changed careers probably 4 or 5 times at this point. The first time I decided I wanted to do an accounting degree because it was where I could get a job, and I knew someone who was an accountant. Then I decided I'd done the Fortune 500, working in big companies, Decided that wasn't for me either, so I did consulting. Loved that. And then another time, it was just for the money. I'll be totally honest with you. I got to my passion by chasing the money. It was where I knew I could make a dollar and could make really good money. But in the process, what I found is I love customer service. I love dealing with people. I love making the deal, getting the deal to happen. To me, it's almost like a game to go in and see if I can make the deal. So I found my passion by chasing a whole lot of other things. But it's okay not to know at this point in your life what you really want to do. And even if you know, you may change that. So for me, it's been a long path of getting to what I wanted to do for a number of different reasons.
Can I jump in there? Because I'm like Miss Morgan. I grew up in a very tough neighborhood in Detroit. It's called Highland Park. And we had 5 other, my mother and my father had 6 children. So even eating was a, was a struggle. So I knew that I wanted to make money. I had to make money because, it was rough for us. And I did not want to have my children go through the same thing that me and my brothers and sisters had to go through. We had to experience, our lights getting cut off. I don't want to ask everybody if you ever had your lights cut off or our phones were cut off, from time to time. It was a very tough childhood. So I said, well, how can I make money? I used to dream about having a multinational corporation when I was like, 14. And I wanted to hire thousands of people and be able to not only make sure that I was, well enough or well off enough to be able to avoid that, but also help others to also be, well off also. So that was my desire that I knew when I was in the 9th grade. And so one of the things that I came upon was the whole idea of space. And I saw a television show once that showed a company working in space making a lot of money. So I said, well, hey, I want to become an astronaut then, So I was an Air Force Junior ROTC at our high school, and I was one of the first students, I think the first student in our high school to ever get an appointment to the Air Force Academy. So that's why I went out of high school. I went to the United States Air Force Academy, where I studied astronautical engineering, which was one of the most difficult fields at our school. But it was a very tough environment for me coming from the inner city of Detroit to Colorado Springs, which is on the whole opposite side of the country. And that was an interesting experience. I ran into a lot of challenges. I'm going to be candid. There was some racism there, at the academy. And so as a result, I left the academy and transferred to Howard University, where I finished up my mechanical engineering degree. So like Ms. Morgan said, you don't necessarily have to, choose something that you're actually going to, basically, do forever, but choose something. So to a young man in the back, for example, young man, and a couple other you, you might not know exactly where you're going to end up, but come up with at least a plan, right? I'm sure who here does not want to make money? So who here wants to make money? So I'm sure we're all in agreement that that's what we want to do, right? We want to make money. So come up with a plan for how you're going to make your first $1 million. Think about it. Your first $1 million.